even if your internal organs and your uterus wants you to suffer. Angie, I hope you are having an amazing day wherever you are. As requested, this video is my top tips on how to get productive and keep on pushing through even when our uteri are just being enemies of progress. Yes, it's my top 5 and a bit tips on how to stay productive on your period. So what qualifies me to do this? I'm a student. I've had my period for like 8 years now. And it's not fun. Like, no one enjoys it. I'm throwing up, nausea, swollen joints, horrible cramp. Like, it's a whole mess. I know everyone is different. Some people out here have 3-day periods. Some of us, not so much 3 days. I remember I used to have a 17-day one. That was not fun. So I really think I've mastered the act of, staying productive, even when our internal organs just want us to suffer. So with that said, let's get on to the top tips. So, tip number 1 is to know yourself and know your cycle. I definitely recommend downloading an app like Flow, for example, or Period Calendar, because then you know your cycle and you can see patterns. The more you know yourself, the easier it is to work around this. So with me, I know that 3 or 4 days before my period starts, I'm super motivated. I could get anything done. You sit me down and tell me to do 4 A-level maths papers, I will do them back to back. I will get amazing and I won't burn out. So that is great. But then 2 days later, when my period arrives, what is productivity, what is schoolwork, what is any of that? So make sure you know yourself really well. And that leads us on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to schedule and plan things around your period. So with me, I have monthly goals. I will sit down and say, I need to get this many papers done, this many practice questions done, these notes, watch this video, that video, all of that stuff. And I will just schedule around it. I want to avoid doing work as much as possible, and I think that's a really important thing to do, because you still need to get the work done even if your internal organs and your uterus wants you to suffer. Yeah, so the next tip number 3 is to do low intensity or passive work. So I used to talk about passive versus active a lot more, but the main difference is active is like questions, active recall, all of that stuff that is, it's a lot more energy intensive and you need to be able to focus. But passive is just things like reading the textbook, watching a YouTube video. If you're a history student, watching a documentary, English student, watching a movie, for example. And I make sure that if I am going to do any work on my period, it is going to be things like watching YouTube videos, making sure I remember these things, maybe reading my textbook, because those things are a lot easier to do. And putting easier work there means you're still being productive, you're still getting things done, but you're not overdoing it, you're not breaking your back, which is probably really hurting from all the cramps anyway. So the next tip is to rest. This sounds so obvious and self-explanatory, but with this whole study tube lifestyle niche on YouTube, you guys see me when I'm doing 14 hours of study, 8 hours of study, back-to-back paper. You guys see the intense aspect, but I need you guys to know I also relax. Like, I also sometimes sit down and just watch way too many episodes of Dynasty on Netflix. Sometimes I just FaceTime my friends for 2 or 3 hours. Like, I just wanted to make sure that's very clear, that we are humans too and we do relax. Even though, yes, I really enjoy studying and I love learning, it's important to rest. So with me, on the first day, I will probably not do any work at all. The first day, can I even get out of bed because I'm in so much pain, I'm nauseous, I will stay in bed for the whole day and just sleep it off. So make sure you acknowledge it's okay to rest. Even if you see us on StudyTube, StudyGram working hard, it's okay to rest. So the next tip is super important, and that is to adapt to your environment. I'm acting like you guys can see my desk over there, but basically, tailor it to you. So if you have really bad tension in your lower back and your hips are super swollen, put a little cushion on your chair. If you're super cold, then put blankets there. I always study with a duvet. To the left of me, I'll have my pain meds. To the right of me, I'll have 2 or 3 cups of tea. I'll make sure the environment is tailored to me so that I can be as comfortable as possible, and that's a really important thing to do, and it's okay to do. I know it might sound weird to some people, but it's not some people, it's me, and it's how I keep getting things done. So the final thing to do is to find solutions where you can. Everyone's symptoms are different. I might throw up, pass out, and have swollen joints, but you probably have different symptoms as well. So make sure you find things that work for you. So for the swollen ankles, which are really distracting for me, I make sure that I might use tension bandages, for example. I could use a hot water bottle or a rice pack. Like, find things that work for you to minimize the symptoms and the horribleness and just to make it manageable. Yeah, if you have any tips, make sure you put them down below in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up and share it as well. I know this is a very taboo topic, but I'm very big on these topics. I think it's important to talk about periods. Never really had a reason to talk about it on my channel, but yeah, it shouldn't be taboo. It's completely natural, it's completely healthy. And with that said, as always, a smile, subscribe, study hard, slay hard, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.